You pick up your phone 47 times today. You will not remember most of them. Your thumb moves before your brain finishes deciding. And the strange part is, this isn't really about your phone at all. It's about something that lived inside a bush 2 million years ago. Picture a small group of early humans walking across a dry grassland. They're hungry. Somewhere out there is fruit or roots or a dead animal another predator left behind. But they don't know where. They don't know if today is a good day or a bad day. All they know is that the only way to find out is to keep moving, keep checking, keep looking under the next branch, behind the next rock, over the next ridge. This is called foraging, and it built your brain. Evolutionary biologists describe foraging using something called the Marginal Value Theorem, a framework for predicting when an animal should give up on one patch of resources and move to another. It sounds dry. It isn't. Buried inside that theorem is the explanation for one of the most maddening habits of modern life. Here's the part that should surprise you. Animals, including early humans, didn't evolve to be rewarded constantly. They evolved to be rewarded unpredictably. A bush that always has fruit isn't actually that exciting once you've learned it's reliable. You check it, you eat, you move on, your brain barely registers the event. But a bush that sometimes has fruit and sometimes doesn't, that bush keeps you coming back. That bush keeps you guessing. Uncertainty, it turns out, is not a flaw in the reward system. It's the engine of it. This is where the neuroscience gets interesting. In the 1980s, a researcher named Wolfram Schultz was recording the activity of dopamine neurons in monkeys at the University of Cambridge. He expected dopamine to fire when the monkey received a reward, like a piece of fruit. It did. But then he changed the experiment. He started giving cues, signals that predicted a reward might be coming. And something shifted. The dopamine neurons stopped firing reliably to the reward itself. Instead, they fired to the uncertainty around it. Schultz had stumbled onto what's now called the reward prediction error. Dopamine, it turns out, isn't a pleasure chemical. It's a forecasting chemical. It spikes hardest not when you get something good, but when getting something good is uncertain and then it actually happens. Think about what that means for a bush in a grassland 2 million years ago. And think about what it means for a phone in your pocket right now. Every time you unlock your screen, you are running a tiny foraging expedition. Will there be a message, a like, something new? You don't know. That's the entire point. If you knew for certain, your brain wouldn't bother sending you back. The not knowing is the bait. There's a reason this feels familiar even outside of phones. B.F. Skinner, working decades before smartphones existed, ran an experiment with pigeons in a box. He gave them a lever. Sometimes pressing it produced food. Sometimes it didn't, and the pattern was random. Pigeons on this kind of schedule, what's called a variable ratio schedule, didn't just keep pressing the lever. They pressed it faster, longer, and more obsessively than pigeons who were rewarded every single time. Predictable rewards create calm behavior. Unpredictable rewards create compulsive behavior. Your phone runs almost entirely on the second kind. Pull to refresh. New post maybe. New message. Maybe. New notification. Maybe. Each one is a bush you don't know is empty until you check. But here's where the story goes back further than Skinner, further than Schultz, further than any laboratory. Why would a brain evolve to respond this way in the first place? Because for nearly all of human history, checking was survival. Anthropologists studying hunter-gatherer societies, including long-term fieldwork among groups like the Hadza in Tanzania, have documented how foraging success varies enormously day to day. Some days you find nothing. Some days you find more food than you can carry. The people who survived long stretches of scarcity weren't the ones who gave up checking after a few empty days. They were the ones whose brains kept nudging them back out again and again, chasing the possibility of a good day. That nudge is dopamine. That nudge is restlessness. That nudge is the small itch that says, check again, look again, one more time, it might be there. For most of human history, this kept people alive. The cost of checking was a few minutes of walking. The benefit on a good day was food that kept a family alive for a week. Now ask yourself what the cost of checking your phone is today. Almost nothing. A glance, a flick of the thumb. And the platforms that compete for your attention have, whether deliberately or not, recreated the exact conditions of a foraging landscape. Unpredictable reward. Low cost per check. An environment engineered sometimes quite explicitly by design teams studying behavioral psychology to feel like a bush that might have fruit on it. You are not weak for checking your phone 47 times today. You are running software that is 2 million years old, in an environment that didn't exist for 99.9% of the time that software was being built. So what do you do with that? Knowing the mechanism doesn't shut it off. The dopamine system doesn't care that you understand reward prediction error. It fires anyway. But understanding it does change one thing. It tells you that the itch to check isn't a message from your willpower failing. It's a message from a forager who never got the memo that the savannah is gone. Some researchers studying digital behavior have pointed out that removing the variability is often more effective than relying on discipline alone. Turning off notifications doesn't lower your willpower demand. It removes the unpredictable cue entirely. No surprise, no dopamine spike, no pull. The bush stops looking like it might have fruit because you've stopped letting it whisper that it might. There's something almost moving about this if you sit with it for a moment. The same circuitry that once sent your ancestors back out into dry grasslands, hungry and uncertain, hoping today might be the good day, is the same circuitry lighting up in your hand right now. You inherited a survival tool built for scarcity, and you're using it in a world of infinite manufactured abundance where every app is a bush and every bush is rigged to sometimes have fruit. You're not addicted to your phone.